I will allow that, Stormy. Don't blame the 49ers for what happened yesterday. That they're not the ones who decided to run a QB sneak with no timeouts. And then block the referee so they can't spot the ball. So, hello. Carrot, I am back at my desk. As requested. Why do I have sunglasses? It's just my style. It's just a style. It's just kind of how it goes. Also, it's sunny. I think it's brighter in the wintertime because we're like technically closer to the sun, which doesn't make sense because it's colder. Or maybe like, I don't know. I really do not like sunlight at all. Not a sunlight fan. Splatoon 3 outfit designs. I would. Hey, does anyone have a Special Forces beret with main power up? If so, DM me. I will delay the Popcast for us to do a gear exchange. I want that hat. I need to finish writing this. I haven't. Honestly, have not finished writing this yet. I got 7 minutes. Let's go. Oh, I know. Okay, I think I got everything down I want to say. I'm not in the Woomy Warehouse server. Several people have told me to do that. But I don't listen to anybody. That's what makes me so... That's the secret to my success. Are we talking about snow? Oh, you got 14 inches of snow. We got nothing. I saw your picture and I was like, oh crap. I need to look out the window because I hate when we have tons of snow. And we haven't gotten anything. Just got a few, like you can tell it spit a little bit. Speaking of snow, what happened to Snowfall? Where are those guys at? Haven't seen them in a while. They didn't play in SAC, I don't think. They signed up for, I don't think they've signed up for Lowing. I have an old Snowfall. Still exists, just quiet. Drop from SAC for me. Oh my gosh, you guys. I saw that Ocean 7 and I was like, oh gosh. Hey, it's not my tournament, so I can't yell at you. I'm sure verifying Ocean 7 for SAC isn't very difficult either. Or some of these Div 2, Div 1-ish teams probably be a little bit more of an issue. It's almost time to start, ain't it? We'll see how this goes. We can just wing this episode. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Popcast. Whenever you're listening to this, whether it be live or a VOD, Twitch or YouTube, or Spotify, while you're deciding on what new rules you're going to have for your next gimmick tournament, running past football players so that you can quickly spot the ball even though they're blocking you and they made a stupid play right before that. Making a winning play on stream while forgetting that you are burning a pot of spaghetti, whatever it is that you're doing right now. Appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to this. Unless I don't. I love this community, dude. I love this community. Sir Skit posted that image. It was like, how the hell did we lose to this guy? That's amazing. Hey, I like I said in one of those tweets, burnt spaghetti tastes a lot better if you win. Everything tastes better when you win. Whenever you win, especially a Ludi set, you wake up the next day, it's like, oh, this air just tastes so much better. Oh wow! Look, is this water like triple filtered or something? Man, everything's just better today. Winning fixes everything. Even if you don't put water in your pot when you cook your spaghetti for some reason. Happy MLK Day. Good holiday. I always feel bad when we come back from winter break and it's like, oh, I got to go back to work. But I always remember, hey, there's a holiday right around the corner and we get to take Monday off. So as soon as this episode is done, I'm going back in bed. Goodbye. I'll see you guys on Tuesday. But we got to get through this first. News of upcoming tournaments that may be of interest to the casual listener of the podcast. It's Low Ink Week. Low Ink Week, baby. We got a whole boatload of festivities planned to celebrate Low Ink Week, as we always do. First off, I'm going to do my preview on Friday. My top 10 teams that I know are going to play. I think we're going to get this game of bracket back. We've already got 40-ish teams, which is a good number to have on a Monday. But make sure, if you guys want to play in this, that you sign up for it, because there's all kinds of other festivities. Tuesday, JPEG is going to do a verification stream where he is going to verify every single team live on stream. Wednesday, IPL is going to do a public shaming stream where we are going to drop all the information on every Smurf that we found so far on this tournament, and we're going to publicly shame them. It's going to be a great week of festivities that we got here. Thursday, we're going to do a raffle. Winner gets to automatically be placed into the secret Delta bracket. They don't have to earn it. And yeah, it's going to be a great time. So make sure you sign up for Low Ink sooner rather than later. If you're actually going to play, if you don't know if you're going to play, take that time to wait, because having staff verify you and you don't actually play, consistently doing that is kind of a jerk move, even if it's not your intention. So if you are planning on playing, sign up sooner rather than later and bring as many subs as you need. Now, if you don't have a team, you can sign up as a sub and do that sooner rather than later so our staff can verify you as well. We have to verify subs as well, but even if you don't have a team, I promise you will play in Low Ink, because we always run out of subs because somebody doesn't wake up in time, or somebody gets locked out of their house taking the trash, or somebody gets grounded in the middle of a tournament. It happens every single tournament. Sign up. Today, we're going to be recapping Little Squid League 17 and covering a lot of news. A lot of other news that kind of broke throughout the course of the week in the competitive scene in the weekly recap, as well as several other tournaments that happened outside of Little Squid League and SAC. But first, I'm so happy that SAC is back. I'm so happy. And it's better than ever, right? I mean, this was just great. There are a lot of issues that we're going to get to, but just the fact that this tournament happened, where we are at this stage of competitive Splatoon, where mid-level has been for the past year, just the fact that this tournament happened and it was as widely participated in as any tournament we've had recently is a big dub for all of us. Full disclosure before I say anything else, I had nothing to do with anything related to this SAC tournament. Yes, SAC is now combined with IPL. Yes, I am a head TO at IPL. But full disclosure, I was involved in the initial meetings to try to get SAC to join IPL. Yes. Once that happened and they're like figuring out what they want to do actual tournament wise, I had nothing to do with that. That's not my tournament. I don't touch other people's tournaments with IPL unless they ask me to. I don't want other people touching Low Ink that aren't directly involved in Low Ink. That's not just a me thing. That's just, look, I'm one of the people you hired to run Low Ink. Let us run Low Ink the way we feel like it should be run. So I'm not sitting here saying anything Like what I'm about to say is weird because I could just go in one of the staff chats and be like, hey, here's my feedback on this tournament, because I don't have feedback that I think needs to be directly changed, right? But at the same time, I feel like I can't do this Popcast, which, even though I have the IPL logo here, is not an IPL podcast. I feel like I can't be objectively authentic about my thoughts about the tournament if I use the shield of, well, they're under IPL now, so I can't say anything, give any opinions that's not 100% positive about that. No. So look at this, everything I'm about to say, as from a player perspective, not a playa perspective, but from somebody who participated in this tournament, because that's what I was. I was 100% a participant. I'm not a TO. And even though they literally stole our low-ink counter pick rules, like literally copy and pasted our counter pick rules, because the counter pick rules are great and you guys love it. It's not me. All the credit for this tournament goes to Raise, Nick, and Smash, and other people I probably forgot. I don't know who exactly is the main ones over that tournament, but they're... Okay, you guys get what I'm saying. We can move on. This was not your grandma's SAC, right? If you had your sunglasses on and you were looking at this and you looked at it, you saw the SAC logo. You take your sunglasses off, you wipe them off, and you put them back on. All of a sudden you see, this was Midway. It uses the SAC name because that's the more recognizable brand, right? And I think that's why a lot of low-level teams signed up for this one until they realized, oh, shoot, this is not the same SAC. This is not the amateur circuit anymore. This is the advanced circuit. And it was a lot more difficult than people were probably expecting when they initially signed up for this one. I've used this example before. Last season, the Sea Boys finished second place in a January low ink. Turned around the very next SAC tournament, they won. What in the world? That should not be happening. You should not be failing to win low ink, but winning a SAC tournament outright just 2 weeks later. That should not be happening. So did that happen this time around? Well, is it fair to use a couple of these teams as examples? Yes. You've done really well, low ink. You put yourself out there. People are going to talk about you, not just me. I probably wasn't the only person who saw this. The Sweepy Shields, who just won low ink, what did they do? They went 3-3. They finished in the bottom half of their bracket. Lois, who finished in second place in the most recent low ink, what did they do? They went 3-3. Finished in the bottom half of their bracket. Yes, that's good. No, not good as in like those two teams specifically, but it's good that teams that are at the upper echelon or winning low ink are going into SAC and they're in the middle of the pack. That's good. They don't need to be coming in and dominating, because then it's just the same doggone tournament with just a few other teams trickled in there. This is not the same SAC. There's an actual separation now. You can clearly say how good you are in SAC versus low ink versus the two tournaments being exactly the same thing for the most part, which they were last season. So that's a good thing. A lot of other teams finished around, like a lot of other low ink band teams finished around. We had teams go 2-4. There were teams that went 1-5. I mean, and that's kind of a good thing too. Not for those teams specifically, but as far as like the grand scheme of skill level is concerned, if you were banned from low ink most recently, you shouldn't be able to just waltz on into SAC and start stomping the place. It shouldn't be a pick up where you left off kind of thing. It should be hitting the reset button. It should be starting over. These are the same teams that when they first played in low ink, they finished like 1-5, 2-4, or maybe 2-3 if they played back when there was only 5 rounds or something like that. It shouldn't be easy for you. And once you graduate from low ink, you should start right at the bottom again and have to grind your way back up. It means something more to them that time around. It might not be fun. it might be scary, and it might lead to more teams being like, oh, I miss low ink. I really miss low ink now. When I could beat up on other people, low ink was a lot more fun. But now that I'm the one getting beat up on, it's not as much fun. Yeah, you're going to see a lot of that. But if you truly want to grow throughout this scene, this is the path you got to go through now. SAC is a little bit tougher. Now, the question is, and a lot of people were probably bringing this up, what the ceiling should be. And I don't know. I feel like the ceiling for this one tournament was fine. A lot of people were complaining about, well, not a lot of people. I think just a vocal few were complaining about some of the +2 players being let in. And, it is what it is. I feel like there wasn't any +2 players that got let in that just kind of ran through everybody else. I think it was more of a situation where if you have been on your team, playing with your team consistently, and you are in +2, and you don't have crazy, insane results with that team to where you think you're just going to stomp everybody, it made sense. But I think the problem is that people don't, like outside people don't look at it from that perspective. What they look at it is, oh, you let that person in, so how come you didn't let me in? It's like, okay, you're not looking at it from a grander scheme of things. You're just saying, oh, they let in one person in +2. That means every single person in +2 should be less than. No, that's not the case. And, maybe those conversations went on a little too long in that desk. And some people, at some point you just got to be like, shut up, we're done, move on kind of thing. But I think the ceiling for this tournament was fine. Again, it should be difficult for some of these mid-level teams to just kind of waltz in here and grow. Here's the case I would make. Since this is not the same SAC that it was before, low-level teams, this tournament should not cater to low-level teams at all. At all. And this is weird because I do a show here that is catered towards low level. I've been the champion voice of low level for almost over a year and a half now, almost 100 episodes now. I've been the one pounding the table. You guys aren't respecting low level. They're the biggest portion of this scene. They're the most wholesome. They got all these great things going for them. I've been the one beating the table for that. SAC is not for low-level teams anymore. It's just not. Now, before you clip that and share it all over the place, let me explain. First off, if you are a low-level team and you want to sign up for this tournament, the mindset you should have is, oh, we're going to get to play some teams that are banned from low ink, that are like Div 2, maybe Div 1, that are really good. They're going to be heavily favorited against us. We could possibly pull off an upset. That is true. You can, as a low ink team, you can upset any of these guys, and some low ink teams did. But you're going in there with the mindset of these guys are going to expose what our flaws are, and that's going to make us better, right? That's a good thing. Playing teams that are better than you expose what your flaws are. When you have flaws, but you play teams that are worse than you, you can get away with it. You can get away with doing stupid stuff if you keep winning. But once somebody beats you, and you're like, oh, all of a sudden that janky comp that we use doesn't work anymore, and you start to think and grow and and that's how you get better. So low-level teams playing an SAC, that's the value to get out of it. But no more can a low-level team sign up for SAC and expect to make top cut in it. Those days are long gone. But this tournament isn't for them. This tournament is for mid-level teams. And there were some things that kind of went on in the tournament that I don't think really catered to that. First off, and this is something a lot of people were talking about, and I knew people were going to talk about it because any tournament that has Swiss needs to be bitched and moaned about all day long on Twitter. I get that. And I kind of agree with it here, to be honest with you. I've always said Swiss is a necessary evil for low ink. But it's perfect for what low ink is trying to do, and we cater a lot of things around it to kind of negate the crappiness of it, right? We do it in low ink because it allows every single team that signs up in the tournament to be able to, in rounds like 3, 4, 5, and 6, to have an opponent that is somewhat around their skill level. They're going to get competitive matches. Even if there's like no hope for them to make a gamma bracket, they're still going to find a team at their skill level at some point, multiple teams at their skill level, and they're going to be able to make that connection and make a scrim partner, and they can grow with them, and that's how they climb up the ladder over time. That's important for low ink because you have a lot of teams that play in low ink that have no competitive experience at all. It's their first tournament. They don't really have anywhere else to go, or they don't realize that Little Squid League is a thing, even though they should. So that low ink, it's kind of perfect. Another kind of issue that low ink kind of fixes is the tiebreaker thing, right? Because if you go 4-2 with low ink, you can go anywhere. I understand that, but at least you're guaranteed to make beta bracket. I don't think a 4-2 team has ever fallen to gamma bracket. The thing is, since our brackets are bigger, 16 teams each rank each bracket, I think it's more fair, and we'll get into more things like that in a minute, but I feel like the bigger bracket kind of helps with the Swiss stage as well. Obviously, the 2-day system, but you can't do 2 days with SAC. Why I don't think this is applicable to SAC anymore. If your SAC in this tournament is geared towards mid-level teams that don't have anything, they don't have anything to work with, I think SAC needs to be more selfish. I think it needs to cater 100% to mid-level teams. And if the low-ink teams want to sign up for it and get that experience of playing higher-level teams, cool. But I don't care if low-ink teams play other low-ink teams in SAC. That's not what the point of this should be. I don't care about that at all. I care about the mid-level teams getting to play against the other mid-level teams and getting a real good look at each other without like cutting out the crap. So is it, and I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, they should switch to group stage or something like that. I don't, if they did, I would be happy. I would like to play in it. And I think some of the issues from last tournament are going to be solved anyways if they go to Swiss. But I feel like Swiss is a format that tries to cater to every single team that signs up in your tournament. And I would, as a player, I would like it if this tournament didn't cater at all to low level at all, because they have so much. They have so much already. They don't need to. This is like Big Brother getting something cool for once after Little Brother's had so many cool things, and then Little Brother's like, how come I can't have that cool thing Big Brother has? Because you got Low Ink and Little Squid League and Launch Point and Checkpoint and the other thing MIT is coming up with, and Ink Odyssey to some extent. Like, you got all these cool things. Let mid-level have one thing for themselves that doesn't involve, that you can participate in, but isn't going to be something to where, oh, you're going to give you a Low Ink team at some point. No, if you want to play in a mid-level tournament, you should play nothing but mid-level teams. Have fun with that. Groups makes more sense, maybe. I don't know. Regardless, I think the main issue here that people were having, other than the Swiss thing, it maybe Swiss played into it, was just the amount of time that this tournament kind of soaked up here. I was surprised. My team went to silver brackets, the bronze medal match of silver bracket. So we got bronze and silver. And that took us when we were done with that, it was 5 hours. And I went and I just kind of chilled for an hour, and then I streamed a Ludi match an hour after that. And when I went on the stream, I found out the tournament was still going on. And I'm like, what? So a bronze match is best of 5. The actual like gold match or whatever is best of 7. So it should last a little bit longer than the bronze match, but an hour longer? I don't understand how this went 6 hours. I honestly do not understand that at all. They seem to be on top of things as far as like the Swiss rounds were concerned. But for some reason, yeah, this tournament lasted 6 hours. Now, if anybody's kind of new, you haven't been paying attention to Swiss and Low Ink before, if you're wondering why there are 2 Swiss groups, that's because if you put all these teams that signed up, which was like 65, into one Swiss group, you are getting 7 rounds of Swiss. Battlefy is making you do 7 rounds of Swiss. So that's why there was 2 different groups to cut everything down to just 6, just to get it down to 6 rounds. Because you can't do this with 7. So something that would help out with the time issue, and this is going to happen next tournament anyways, less teams are going to sign up. Less teams means less rounds. Less rounds means a quicker tournament, a significantly quicker tournament. The faster you can get to top cut, the bracket stage, the better. Now, bracket stage is going to slow some things down as well when you get into like best of 5 and counter picks. And we played against a team, bless their hearts, that made 2 illegal counter picks back to back. And it's like, okay, if you're doing that with us, there's probably a bunch of other people not acquainted with the counter pick thing to where they're slowing things down and making this a longer tournament for everybody. I get that. Now, that's why we do counter picks in low ink. We're training you guys so that when you are making these brackets in SAC, you're ready to go because you know what you're doing. But some of these teams that kind of skip the counter pick low ink stage are kind of just making things up as they go. And it's like, dude, why are you questioning me calling out your counter picks as illegal? I'm literally the person who wrote this rule. It's amazing. But still, another thing, the best of 5, the Swiss was best of 3 instead of play all 3. I don't understand that. A lot of people were excited about, thank you for making this best of 3 instead of play all 3. Does it really matter? I mean, I argue it makes the tournament feel like it's longer because if you 2-0 your opponent, instead of waiting like 10 minutes to 15 minutes, you're waiting like 20 minutes, right? Because if somebody else goes to a game 3, which is always going to happen, you still have to wait on that team anyways. So I don't really get it just makes you wait longer, even though the tournament doesn't actually last longer. You're just spending less time playing. And because it's best of 3 instead of play all 3, the tiebreaker is different, right? Full disclosure, I don't exactly know what the tiebreaker rule is. I know it's different because it's best of 3 instead of play all 3. It's like it's not opponent win percentage. It's some sort of other mathematical breakdown that I don't care. The bottom line is I don't care what the tiebreaker rule is. That's not the issue that would happen in this tournament, but there is another issue that happened. First off, if you went 4-2 in this tournament, this is a crazy spread. You either qualified for gold bracket or you fell all the way down to bronze bracket. If you went 4-2, that is an insane spread for like, I think it was 11 teams in each group went 4-2 and just went across the entire scope of the postseason brackets that you could land in. That is insane. Now, I've always said, and it's still applicable here, the only people who complain about tiebreakers are losers. No, not losers in the sense that you're a person who taunts your opponent after you beat them by sending them a YouTube clip of one of their lowest moments instead of just hitting GG and enter on your keyboard like a normal, mature human being who graduated middle school would do. No, losers is in the sense that you literally lost too many games. If you want to avoid tiebreaker rules, win your games. It's that simple. Tempest has no idea what the tiebreaker rules are because they went 6-0. If my team didn't want to end up in silver bracket, we got to beat Synergy. We got to beat some of it. That's just the matter. That's just the case. I can't lose to those 2 teams who made gold bracket and sit here and say I demand an opportunity to lose to them again. You know, if I wanted to make it, I got to find a way to beat it. That's going to be my response to all these things. However, if you go 4-2 and you can fall from gold to bronze, that's not a tiebreaker issue. That's a bracket issue. I think the problem with it, there's just too many teams that signed up for this. You can't do top cut. Probably should have been a top 16, in my opinion. Now you're still gonna have 4-2 teams that'll fall down to like silver or beta bracket or whatever. So be it. That's that's going to happen. There has to be some sort of tiebreaker, and it's always going to be jank. That's why I don't really care what the tiebreaker rule is. You're going to get screwed no matter what you do, no matter how you look at it. Somebody's going to be like, well, this sucks that I got screwed over here. But if Top Cut was like 16 teams instead of 8, I think that fixes a lot of issues. That was the issue with Shopping Spree, is that you had a team go 5-1 and miss the top cut of that tournament that had a prize pool in it. So on the flip side, TOs are like, well, we already played 6 rounds of Swiss. You can't add a whole nother bracket into Top Cut. And this is where we as a community have to come up with a compromise. You can either have a shorter tournament, which means your brackets are going to be best of 3 counter pick instead of best of 5 counter pick. So you're not going to get that true set you have. Or you can have a longer tournament, but you're going to get more quality matches with your best of 5 sets in it. So there's no perfect answer to any of this. And no matter what you do, people are going to complain. I get that. But if you wanted a solution to what happened with teams finishing in bronze, like Div 2 playoff teams in bronze bracket and like Div 3 teams making gold bracket, the only solution is to make it bigger. And that's going to add more time to the tournament somehow. There's not really a insta fix to that. But if people want to complain, you have the right to complain. But when you think about it a little bit deeper, you realize, okay, there's not really an instant solution to all of this here. Regardless, the next tournament will be quicker, right? Because this is the trend we've always seen. Low-level teams are not going to come back out next time. Not all of them. And that's going to cut down the number significantly to maybe there can be only 5 rounds of Swiss, or they can make it into groups again and it's just 4 rounds of Swiss, but the top cut is bigger or something like that. But, you know, if you look at these brackets, like, can you honestly say the problem with bronze and silver bracket is that it gives you the illusion that the teams that made silver bracket are better than the teams that made bronze bracket. That is not the case. If you looked at the teams that made silver and bronze and you think the silver teams automatically are better than the bronze teams, you have no idea. You have not paid attention to a single tournament that goes on in this community. There were so many teams that fell to bronze bracket that would absolutely fillet some of those silver bracket teams on a platter. They would put them in a pot they would put them in a pot without any water in it and just cook them alive. I'm just being honest. That's what I was seeing, and that's the fact. You can't really argue against that. And that's kind of the thing with like this point spread, is that because of tiebreakers, the team that finished in last place of silver bracket got more points than freaking Campfire, who just destroyed bronze bracket because they're not a bronze bracket team. So I don't know. The next tournament's going to be better regardless. If it's still Swiss, it's going to be better because there's going to be less teams, which means you'll get through that a little bit quicker. And, you know, if you want to win a tournament, you got to beat everyone at some point anyways. Would I rather face Campfire in a format where I can pick the maps versus preset map lists? Yes, because there are some maps where I feel like we are going to favor Campfire on, and there's some maps where I feel like us beating Campfire there is going to be extremely difficult because both of our comps are so jank compared to what the current meta is right now. This is like a preset map list will determine who beats who in a Destiny Troop Campfire map list. That is just a straight up fact. And the other teams are like that as well. But the next tournament I think is going to be better regardless. And even if it's not, this is still a good tournament. This was really good. Yeah, it lasted long, but you had some really great matches here. And there's 3 things I want to take up. 3 teams I want to point out here. This is my top 3 takeaways. First off, persistence. Hell yeah. These guys are finally back. It's not that they're back. It's where they should be if they were still a thing. It's not like, oh, they've gone through rehab and they've come out to be the team that they should have been at this point last year. That's a good thing. That's good to see. And I'll be honest. When Persistence came back and they were bad. They were bad. When they came back, I was like, all right, this isn't Persistence anymore. This isn't the same team I considered to be a rival to Destiny Troops a year and a half ago. I don't want to play them now. Now that I know they're back, and now that I know that Brush player is probably just as annoying as they've always been, this is all of a sudden the team I don't want to play anymore. Persistence took a big step up right here. Number 2, Synergy. What happened to these guys? I felt bad when they played us in round 6 and they absolutely dismissed us. And I was like, if we lost to Synergy, this sucks. And then I looked back at who else they were beating. And I was like, oh my goodness, this isn't Synergy. This is some other beast. They went 5-1 and got all these wins. Well, most of these wins against legit +3 teams. And made gold bracket outright. They didn't have to do the awkward 4-2 tiebreaker. They flat out earned the spot right there. Synergy, huge glow up here. Also, the last team I want to give a shout out to, Typhoon. The last I saw Typhoon, they were choking away a Ludi set to ITAP that they honestly had no business losing. Now, Ludi is a little bit different than a best of 3 scenario with preset map lists. I get that. But Typhoon went from that situation in Div 4 to losing to ITAP in Div 4 to going on to making top cut as a 4-2 team, mind you, with tiebreakers. But whatever the tiebreaker rule is, it determined that Typhoon did better than the other 4-2 teams in that group. So I'll give credit to that. Typhoon, a huge glow up here. These 3 teams, these are teams that are banned from Lowink. These are teams that have gone on and keep grinding, and they're getting rewarded for it. That's what SAC is for. This is the point of SAC. And that's why I'm excited about this. We got something now. There's so many teams. These teams, without SAC, what is Persistence doing? What is Synergy doing? What is Typhoon doing? Nothing. They're playing in SOS and maybe they're going to make a Hammerhead bracket. But now they got this and they're getting results and they're getting momentum. That's the value of SAC. That's why I'm excited that it's back. And that's why I don't care if it was Swiss or groups or how long the tournament lasted or what the doggone tiebreaker rules are. As long as we all got something we can play in, that's a damn good thing. And we should be excited about it, as I am. With that being said, Tournament 2 is going to be in a couple of weeks. I guess there's 4 tournaments here. I don't know what the point spread is. I know Tempest. I will say this. When I saw Tempest signed up, I was like, just give them the money. It's going to be difficult. Beans, they seem to steamroll everyone except for 4 Beans, who is also going to be a contender to win this whole thing. I'm surprised that 4 Beans took them to a game 7. I'm not okay. Let me rephrase it. I'm not surprised that Tempest won. I am surprised that they had to go to a game 7 against 4 Beans. But I also want to point this out. Now, I haven't seen this set, but I wouldn't be surprised if this was the case. A 6-hour tournament. What do you really have left mentally in the tank? Yes, playing a long tournament, it's not like physically draining, like, oh, my arms are, I'm tired, I can't run any sprints anymore. But no, like your brain becomes mush, you know, like you just, eventually you're just going to start playing solo queue to some extent. Like you're going to be playing on autopilot, whether you can mentally fight through that or not. Your body is just going to mentally play the game on autopilot, and it just comes down to who has the best natural skill over the other. So I think if Tempest, if the tournament's a little bit shorter, I think Tempest really starts to separate themselves from everybody else. But we'll see how things kind of go in the future there. But a fun tournament nonetheless. Whew. Oh no, I threw off everything. Hiya, you left after round 5. Shut up. You're fine. You could play this tournament forever. But that's enough about this tournament. Let's talk about some other tournaments that happen. Some other news. It's time for the weekly recap. Genesis 8, which was a tournament that didn't have Splatoon 2, instead was a Smash Brothers only event, was canceled, or no, excuse me, it was not canceled, it was postponed this past weekend for this upcoming, it was supposed to be like 2 weeks from now, but they ended up postponing it until December. If I don't have the statement pulled up just yet, but it did say roughly a couple of things that I did want to point out. First off, if you could only get a 50% refund from the venue and top 8, but you got a 100% refund if it was something, if it was for like the event itself. And second off, they pointed out that I should probably look up the exact wordage for this, but they kind of pointed out that they were going to be out, like the amount of money they were losing here was in the 6 figures for this kind of event. Now, Splatoon is not here. Splatoon was at Genesis 7. It's not back at Genesis 8. And it's not going to be in April either. But still, the takeaway, why you want to pay attention to this, why this is significant, is because we have that Low Tide City event in Texas in August or April as well, right? And this event, the fact that Genesis 8 got postponed sucks for everyone, the TOs and the participants. The TOs, they have to choose, somebody pointed this out, TOs have to choose between providing for their community or just doing nothing ever again as far as lands are concerned. And what sucks about this is, with Low Tide, we can be critical because it's like, have you looked out the window? Why are you announcing the land right now? Even though their planning for this land took place a lot earlier than what was announced. But Genesis 8 was announced like last summer, wasn't it? Like it was announced, I feel like I remember talking about it before the Delta variant was even a thing. So like Genesis 8 got announced back when things seemed to be going better. So it's not like they announced it during a controversial time. No, they announced it at a time that other lands were already taking place. So it seemed like, yeah, we can do a Genesis 8. So it just things turned for the worst, and it's unfortunate that they have to cancel it. Why do things get canceled with it? Look, canceling and postponing tournaments for lands is completely different from canceling or postponing something like lowing. There's like insurance tied up into it. There's a lot of money tied up into it. There's a lot of circumstances outside of a TO's control that are like government issues like that. Things that are outside of my scope because I don't know a lot of the business side of lands, but there's a lot that goes on to canceling those things than what we kind of realize. And that's what sucks about all this. And this is exactly why I'm not giving a single dime of money to anything related to Low Tide City yet. Because A, since it's in Texas, I don't know if they really are going to, like the government's going to be like, hey, you can't do this event now because of the current state of the world. I'm not convinced that Texas really gives a hell. And 2, it's just a matter of if they do cancel or postpone, I'm out. It's not like I can get a refund for the flight or the hotel. I might get a refund for the event, but that's not where the money, that's not where I'm losing all my money. It's the flight and the hotel. So before I do all of that stuff, that's why I'm hesitant to sign up for Low Tide City. And it's not anything against, well, I feel like they haven't been transparent enough with their policy, health and safety policy. But I mean, there's just nothing really to do. The flat out point here is that this just sucks for everybody. This sucks, man. MIT, Mulloway Institute of Turfing, announced that they're adding a new casual division later this year. I believe sometime in the summer. Okay, interesting. The rumor, we haven't talked about Checkpoint 1 here on the podcast in a long time, have we? It's been a long time since we talked about Checkpoint 1. I think the rumor is that they're just kind of slowly fading out. I think it just kind of grew too big. So we haven't really seen a lot of Checkpoint 1 stuff out recently. So I think this is Mulloway's way Mulloway's way of coming in and saying, hey, we're going to fill that void, that casual scene. And this is another attempt to try to grow the scene through casuals. The Reddit tournament did a good job of it a couple of weeks ago. Now MIT's stepping up to try to fill that as well. Is MIT trying to do too much? I don't know. I think that's why they're waiting to do this, pull this off in like in the summertime, because they need to figure out how to get Ink Odyssey. Well, Ink Odyssey seems to be starting off really strong, but how do they continue to grow Ink Odyssey from that point? Why did they announce it so early? I don't know. That's their prerogative. It's cool. It's a cool idea. Just don't forget about it between now and then. SOS number 55 saw Sirius taking the win over fan favorite Tukey 4-2. 4 Beans taking third place in that Great White bracket as well, the team that took second place in SAC. Can we just point out, the more I look at SAC, it's basically just a weekend version of SOS as far as like the teams that sign up for it, right? I mean, SOS is an open invite tournament, but it's just low-level teams or mid-level teams that sign up for it. Good to see. Sirius, man, that's the second time they've won SOS. And before any of you idiots DM me that they're not a Div 3 team, yes, they aren't. They're clearly not anymore. On November the 16th, they were, but they far exceeded that at this point. Hammerhead bracket was won by Healthy Diet Food Groups. Mako bracket won by Viscosity. And Lantern bracket won by Drop Down. 37 teams signed up for this one. Only 32 can actually play. That's 3 weeks in a row where SOS has hit the limit. Not bad for a scene that is still dying. Man, this scene's been dying for 2 years, apparently, to some people on Twitter. Amazing. The College Cephalopod Association Invitational took place yesterday. It was won by Inkling Technology at Purdue over UT Dallas. Hook'em Horns, the Comet Blasters was the name of that team. UCSD Esports taking third place in that tournament. A 9-team college invitational that I commentated with alongside DRF. And it's good to see CCA coming forward. A lot of other universities were represented there. Hofstra, UC Berkeley, a lot of teams specifically from California. But you did have like a New York team and obviously the other ITAP team. Purdue Air Launchers, not the Psychedelic Air Launchers anymore, signed up and played in this tournament as well. ITAP losing only one game, dropping one game all tournament long to UT Dallas there. I don't know how to pronounce this one. Idle, IDYLL. Don't make fun of me, Jub. The restriction tournaments saw NFT win over Jackpot in a bracket reset. Astral finishing in third place. The rules of this tournament: no KGAL, no missiles, and I think you could only use one weapon from each weapon class, like shooter, splatling, charger, brush, all that good stuff. Blaster, I believe, was its own weapon class as well. Tournament, a couple of upsets in this tournament, but the more things changed, the more things stayed the same. And NFT win, even though they lost to Great Juice, they ended up winning this thing anyways. Saw 21 teams register. I believe the starting prize pool was $250, which is why you see teams like NFT win and Jackpot sign up for it. But at the end of the day, skill wins, regardless of what the rule set is. And I'm curious. I don't know who signed up for Battle of the Blushes in a couple of weeks. But that has a prize pool as well. I would assume NFT would win that, even though it's just all brushes. Skill beats skill when everybody's on the same rule set. And I believe that's all the tournaments. My goodness, a whole lot of tournaments that we went through right there. Patrick Mahomes tossed 5 touchdown passes, disappointing all of Splat Twitter. Apparently, everybody in competitive Splatoon is a Steelers fan, even though very few of you actually live in the state of Pennsylvania. Okay, whatever. Sorry. I've done the Chiefs, the Rams this season. I'll give the Steelers, I'll commentate, or I'll give a highlight for every Steeler loss next season. Congratulations. You're joining the hell the Colts are in of not having a quarterback, but everybody else is good. the Rams play the Cardinals tonight. For some reason, there is a Monday night playoff game. It's just the world we live in now. That was your weekly recap. Sponsored by Destiny Troops. One of the best and oldest teams in all of mid-level. One of the most wholesome teams in the universe. The best good-looking captain in all of competitive Splatoon. Proud sponsor of today's episode of the weekly recap. Thank you, Destiny Troops. Moving along. For the first time ever, what I said was actually true with the sponsorship thing. Thank you, Aya. The people who are listening to this on Spotify are going to be so confused. Let's look at Little Squid League and call it a day. Thank you, Falk. You can sponsor the next episode of the weekly recap. Little Squid League 17. The tournament that finally happened. We were going to get Little Squid League 17 last month, and it was going to be a major event going on there. Huge prize pool. Going to see a ton of teams. Going to be a ladder stage, a 2-day tournament. Unfortunately, though, it didn't come to happen. Not enough teams signed up for it. And the question was, would we ever get a Little Squid League 17? Thank you for all the people that are subscribing. I'm just going to mute the desktop audio so that doesn't show up there. But appreciate all you people that are subscribing. Thank you so much. Just going to keep moving along, though. Seeding for this tournament was a little more transparent this time around, and we're going to show you guys all the things that are going on right here. Oops, something went long. Try again in 117 seconds. No, how about I try again right now? Okay, so maybe not. Maybe we won't show you guys this. So we can't go back here at this point. Do I still have it up right here? No, that's the bracket stage. Okay, there we go. Here we go. So what we're going to do. Now, what I mean by the seeding was a little bit different than what it used to be. Is that in the past, it was just like everybody was 1 through 4 in your group. This time around, the seedings are more transparent. It's where you're actually seeded in the whole tournament. So like Rolling Squids, number 16, were seeded to finish number 16 in the whole tournament. Now, seeding in like low level is difficult, right? Because like, you know who like your number 1 through number 10 might be. But I highly doubt that anybody sitting here like, do you think this team should be number 20 or number 21? Or should they be number 19? I don't think anybody's in depth thinking about that as far as seeding is concerned. That's why we don't do it for low ink, because we would lose our minds doing that. But still, something I want to point out. This was probably how it was seeded all in the past anyways, but instead of just getting the 4 right here, which no, the Rolling Squids would get the number 2 seed in this group in the old setting. But they get it's just more transparent. I don't know if that was intentional on the LSL side, or whatever, but it's at least, I don't know if that was intentional, or if that's just the Battlefy thing right here. Regardless, let's take a look at every single group. How did everybody do in this tournament? And also welcome in everybody who watches just the Little Squid League episodes of the Popcast. Big fan of you guys. I know you're big fans of me. Group A, as you can see, I guess, wait, this is what we want to look at right here. Group A, from top to bottom, finished exactly as you would expect it to do. Apocalypse, number 1 seed. Rolling Squids, number 2. Splat A, Lot B, finishing number 3 is there in blue. Galuses. Did I just say a slur? Well, I don't know what that is. That's a fish. Usually when it's a word I don't know and it's Splatoon related, it's probably a fish. But still, regardless, this is all how it's supposed to end up. So nothing really crazy surprising there. Everything went by the book. Now, because you have the transparent seeding, right, you're going to have teams that are number 16 play number 17 in this group, seemingly to just being the closest possible matchup that you can have. And that was Rolling Squids playing Splat-A-Lot B here. And that match did go to a 2-1 set. So it did, at least on paper, appear to be close, even though you never really know unless you actually see the thing. So that worked out pretty cool. Group B, and here, GooTuber, for the love of JPEG, can we please stop with this? I want to point this out. Here's what it looks like. Look what it does here. Look what it does right here. This is nonsense beyond nonsense, okay? Can you just call yourselves GooTuber going forward? Because this is annoying as all get out. Here's the deal, GooTuber, that I'm willing to make with you. If you just change your name to GooTuber, every time I talk about you on the Popcast, I will read this out. Every single time, I'll read out the entire thing. If you promise, going forward, to take all of this out of Battlefy and just call yourselves GooTuber so it doesn't get... Look at this! The Oofish and Inglow are basically pushed off the scene. Also, what is this AQ? What region are you representing? I Googled this. This is Antarctica. You guys are not playing in Antarctica. Come on now. Regardless, let's look at how they actually did in the group here. I think Indiglo was the surprise team as far as the seeding is concerned. I do want to point this out. When Little Squid League 17 happened didn't happen, Squidboards was going on at the same time. Indiglo, who was registered for Little Squid League 17, stopped playing in that, and they went to play in Squidboards. They didn't do particularly well, and I remember my team played against them, but that's the value. You teams that go off and you play in other tournaments, and you get a little bit better by getting your butt kicked in those other tournaments, you go back down into a Little Squid League, you go 3-0. In a group like this, Oofish was the number 1 seed. GooTuber, to their credit, is a good team, even though, god dang. And, well, I think Trivia Brand is a little bit still newish here, but still, Indiglo is the I wanted to point out Indiglo because I know they're grinding other tournaments outside of Little Squid League, and it pays off here. Lockout in Group C. Who is Lockout? They're Astro, literally Astro rebranded. And I like the new name. I like Lockout. I feel like it's fine. Lockout, kind of the same thing as Access Denied, just synonyms there. But those teams tend to do pretty good. There was a little bit closer seedings here. I believe Hidden Radiance was the number 3 overall seed, and they just had a bad day. It happens here. So Lockout and Inception able to kind of sneak up here and steal some spots away from them. Able to win. Lockout able to go 3-0 in this group. Group D. Surf and Turf wins this group. Good to see them still playing. I haven't talked about them a lot, but they have kind of bounced back from when they went on a bit of hiatus and still been kind of grinding a lot recently here, going 3-0. I believe this group went as scripted. Everybody finished where they were supposed to be. Here's what's interesting about this group, though. The last time we talked about Splat-A-Lots, and we're going to talk about them more, is that Splat-A-Lot, I said, are we going to get a Splat-A-Lot D team? And I don't think Splat-A-Lot C. So we had A, B, and D. What happened to C? Did C disband and then just formed a Splat-A-Lot D? Whoever. Well, I joked. Are we going to get a Splat-A-Lot D? Here they are. Now here's the next question. Are we getting Splat-A-Lot E? Now here's the interesting thing. I listened to Shaq on Negas's Corners podcast. And one thing Negas kind of brought up, like back in Splatoon 1, it wasn't really so much clans, or it wasn't really so much teams that were playing. It was like clans, and you had like each clan had like 3 different teams playing in it. And I remember Sploot Troops initially was trying to do something like that too. Like we formed Destiny Troops within Sploot Troops, and then tried to get like a second competitive team up and running as well. So that's not really like a bizarre, this Splat-A-Lot thing, how there's 4 different Splat-A-Lot teams is not really a bizarre concept in theory. It's just not something we see a lot more is a lot more often, but still they're filling out these tournaments here. And we're obviously going to talk more about these guys in a minute because Splattle A kind of popped off here. Group E, Laser Beans upset Marine Melody. This is I looked at Marine Melody's Twitter. This is the first tournament that they played in, but it's not their first tournament in general because this is the rebranded BitClam. I don't know why they rebranded from BitClam. Maybe they just want to get away from cryptocurrency in general. I don't know. But still, Marine Melody, so be it. Still the same kind of quality of team that we expect from that typical team that we'd see there. But Laser Beans and Tomato Sauce. I didn't recognize the names of the players, so I'll just kind of show it on screen here. If you're listening to this on Spotify, I don't like you. Spotify, I don't like you anyways. But these are the players. Pink, Squire. No, I'm just gonna stop reading. I'm just gonna stop reading that. You guys can read it for yourselves. What is this? What monstrosity is this? What is wrong with you people? My goodness. Moving right along, Group F. Now, this is where Splatterlot A. Now, Splatterlot A pop-off starts here, right? They weren't seeded. I think they were seeded to finish second place in this group over the Bamboo Dragons, who the Bamboo Dragons, they're getting to be the old man on the block here. It's like they're always flirting with the idea of doing really good in these tournaments, and I think we expect them to do so at some point, but it's just, there's always something that slightly holds them back here. And Splatterlot A just smoked this group. They played Bamboo Dragons on stream, and they 3-0'd them and said, bye, we're done with you. We're moving on to the next thing. So Splatterlot A made a statement winning this group. Bamboo Dragons still moving on to Top Cut anyways. What is an onion canyon? That sounds painful. What is this an acronym for? I have no idea. It sounds like something, if any of you play Quiplash, you probably need to come up with what this acronym actually stands for. Group G. Seeding's a little bit closer. As you get down to these lower groups, right, the seeding becomes a little bit more close. And so it's not 1 versus 16. It's more like 17 versus 18 and 21 versus 22 or something like that. So you're going to get more competitive stuff, and that really showed right here. This was the only group to where everyone got a win and nobody went undefeated. Tubbs and Friends ended up taking first place here because of a tiebreaker. I guess it doesn't really matter. As long as both teams are going 2-1, they're both moving on to Top Cut. It might affect seeding in some instance of some sort. But the problem here is that No Name Brand team was the one who was supposed to win this group and just got upset a couple of times there. So a nice little like rock, paper, scissors matchup here that you like to see every now and then. And it's surprising this was the only team or the only opportunity where we saw something like this. Everything else just kind of chalk 3-0, including Group H, that everything was a 3-0. Literally every single match in Group H was a 3-0, even though on paper it should be the most competitive group of all, because literally round 6 are two teams playing against each other that are seated right next to each other. Like number 8 plays number 9 and number 17 plays number 18 or something like that. So regardless of that, it was just 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, 3-0 right down the board for Group H. Silver bracket. And you better cooperate, Battlefly. Don't give me any of this wait 2 minutes nonsense. Oh, I told you not to do that. All right, fine. We don't get the full screen. Get that yellow nonsense out of here. Okay, so Silver Bracket. What have I always said about Silver Bracket with Little Squid League? It's always the team that gets upset in the group stage, that gets angry, and just rips everybody apart in Silver Bracket to prove that they're not supposed to be here. And what did... Come on, dude. What did No Name Brand do here? They ripped everybody apart. 2-0 Jumpin' Jellyfish. 3-0 Squillo. I like that name. 3-0 Hidden Radiance of the Dawn, and 4-0 in Squidius. Okay, No Name Brand, we see you. They were in that group of that Group G, or yeah, they were in that Group G where nobody won and nobody went undefeated, stuff like that. Probably upset that they got upset and just took it out on these poor defenseless squids. The real winner here is in Squidius, who was seeded number 24. They got the most value out of this bracket here. winning a close set with Splat-A-Lot B, Trivia Brand, sweeping Ink Faders Bravo, who ended up winning third place. So Insquidious is the team that really gets the value out of this bracket, and this is why Silver Bracket exists. This is what makes Little Squid League good, in my opinion. The fact that everybody moves on to a bracket stage, and you're going to be playing these tight matchups. We don't look at these. Actually, no. Because we're going to be maybe not looking directly at Little Squid League 16 Silver Bracket, but teams that were in Silver Bracket really, really popped off in Gold Bracket of this tournament. So this builds up a lot of teams for the next Little Squid League. That's the value of having a Silver Bracket right here. Hidden Radiance of the Dawn finishing in 4th place. I think Squillo, I've never talked about this team before. I've never seen them before, but I like this name a lot. I would like to commentate a team named Squillo. That's a fun word to say. Let's look at the not gold bracket, but just top cut. And you better. I told you better, and you didn't. Okay. What do we take away from the top cut here? Obviously, we'll talk about Apocalypse in a minute. Who just kind of won this whole tournament right here. And I did do some little bit of research on those guys, but still, there's 2 teams here that really popped off. Rolling Squids and Splat-A-Lot A. And when I was opening the bracket and I saw these 2 teams were in semifinals, I was really confused. Well, here's what I want to point out here. Here's this Little Squid League 17. This is, give me the silver bracket here. This is the silver bracket of the tournament in November. Splat-A-Lot A losing in round 2 of silver bracket. Rolling Squids losing in round 2 of silver bracket. Both close losses, 3-2. But I would never talk about this on the Popcast. It's silver bracket, right? But look what these teams did 2 months later. They're in top cut of Little Squid League 17. Splat-A-Lot A finishing in 2nd place. Rolling Squids finishing in 4th place. That is amazing. That is amazing. That is quite the glow up over the course of 2 months. Right there as I get my chair unstuck. So it's good to see. I was really surprised to see how these teams did. And you know, it's not like they're playing babies or anything like that. Surf and Turf's a tough team for Splat-A-Lot A to win. Indiglo, I talked about how they won their group, how they've been grinding other tournaments. That's a good win. Wave Riders won their group as well. I believe in Group H. So, I mean, they're beating good teams here in this Little Squid League tournament. Both of these teams are, and it's really good to see. Now, of course, Apocalypse won this tournament. I didn't know who Apocalypse was, but I did some brief just looking into them on my own. They won a low-level weekly number 5, which I believe is from the Ink Up. I've never talked about that term. I might have talked about it in passing a few times on the Popcast before. But I didn't even look into it until I was just trying to figure out who Apocalypse was. But they won that tournament. I think they lost one match in that group stage, but then went on to sweep their way through the bracket. And the teams they were beaten were roughly the same teams, it looked like, in Little Squid League 17. And it's not like Apocalypse was just untouchable here. Tubes and Friends took a game off them. Ink in the System pickup, which did better than Ink in the System has done in the past. I believe the actual Ink in the System team finished got eliminated round 1 of last Little Squid Leagues. Now they're here with the pickup going into the the bronze medal match and winning this here. So it's not like Apocalypse was just like having a Rising Matrix tournament of just stiff arming everybody. We're just going to steal this tournament from you. But they were the number 1 seed in the group stage. Like, they knew they were going to be good, and they had to earn it. Splat-A-Lot A really gave them a lot of grief here. But ultimately, Apocalypse just a little too much to overcome. Regardless, this is a good tournament for a lot of teams. A lot of teams got a lot of value, had their stock risen after this. For a lot of teams, this is the best tournament results they've ever had. And that's a good thing. And this is, again, if we're tying in the theme of the entire episode of the Popcast into one giant little package, why do I not care if low-level teams don't have a fun time in SAC? They got this tournament. This tournament's awesome. Little Squid League is awesome, and it's great for a lot of teams. I pointed out how even the teams that don't make top cut are getting a lot of value out of this tournament, and it's going to pay dividends for them down the road. I've shown how teams that play in other tournaments that do get their butt kicks in other tournaments do get to come back down to Little Squid League, like Indiglo, like Apocalypse, and they get to grow from it. So I don't care if you play in SAC and a low ink team and you get destroyed. Cry me a river. I don't care. That's not it. The tournament's for mid-level teams, but playing in it regardless pays dividends. I think I just proved that with this whole episode right there. Little Squid League proved it as well. With that being said, if you'd like to be a part of the podcast in any way, if you'd like to, I don't know, if you have a Special Forces Beret hat with main power up, feel free to reach out to me at my socials below. Twitter at Mr_Popgun, Discord Popgun, #5882, YouTube at 25Popgun, Twitch at Popgun25, Anchor.fm/Popgun, TikTok, Mr_Popgun. And a special shout out to all the people who subscribed. I know I just kind of went through this. How do I, let me see if I can find that real quick. I hate to just kind of like gloss over that, but I got to like keep talking. That's not it. Stop hearing myself here. I think somebody gifted a sub as well. I really don't know how to look any of this up. We can figure that out. We can figure that out. Or maybe we can't. Maybe we can't. Regardless, hey, thank you for everyone who subscribed and gift subbed. You don't have to do that, but if it helps with the channel thing, if it helps with like commercials or whatever, I appreciate it. I appreciate your guys' support. I really do. With that being said, let's end this here. Let's go raid somebody before this gets before I even get something else broken here. We've raided Ahmed a lot. Is there someone else? Sean Steiny? Who is that? I don't know. Let's raid that person. Hey, make sure you get vaccinated if you haven't already, including the booster. Make sure you're wearing your mask. Don't do anything stupid. I know you guys. You guys do stupid stuff a lot. Try not to do stupid stuff in the future. Give it a shot. See what happens. You might be surprised.